Hey everybody, welcome to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. My name is Robert Reams, the host and the producer of the show, and as always, I'm here to inform and inspire you, to educate you, and to motivate you so that you can take this information, put it to work in your lives, share it with your loved ones and your families. I've come a long way to have this opportunity to sit in front of you today. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. My name is Robert Reams, the host and the producer of the show, and as always, I'm here to inform and inspire and educate and motivate you so you can take this information, put it to work in your lives, and share it with your loved ones and your families. Now, I always say this because it's pretty much always true. I'm really excited about today's show because I have my really good longtime friend. You're in for a real treat here. My friend Shawnee Harkins, who is one of the leading, if not the leading, TBI, traumatic brain injury experts and practitioners in the country today. She is with me today. Welcome, Shaunie Harkins.
Thank you, Robert. It's so good to be here. You know what? I've been looking forward to this day for a very long time, friend. Thanks for having me on your show.
I know. Well, listen, I want to go recap just a few things. You and I did this 6 years ago, I think now. It was spring of 2020. You were on my podcast, RR Live, the RR Live version at that time. It was an amazing show. And I remember this like it was yesterday. We highlighted your awesome client, Kyle, who walked his mom down the aisle for her wedding, which was a big deal.
That day. Yes.
Yep. And we're going to get to, exactly who Kyle is and some of the other amazing people that have benefited from your great work. So we're going to get to all that. But first of all, I want to introduce how we met originally. You and I back in the ultimate weight loss race for Dr. Phil. We trained together. With just a brief explanation of what that weight loss challenge was. There were 6 teams of 2, and we chose a trainer for each team for that particular challenge, and it lasted all season. We went to New York, we went to Vegas, we went to Dallas. We did some really amazing things. It was sort of like at the time emulating some of what the Amazing Race was doing. I remember that. And Shawnee was one of the great trainers for the purple team, I believe is what it was, right?
Yes, Lauren and Joe.
Lauren and Joe, that's right. And they'll probably tune in to this at some point. Hey, Lauren and Joe, hope you're doing well. And it was just a great experience, and you and I have stayed in touch ever since. And now, fast forward all the great years of work that you've done, you are one of the, like I said, if not the leading traumatic brain injury practitioners in the country. Tell us about that. Tell us about your personal connection, first of all, to that, and then tell us about the professional experience and what you're doing now with all that, because this is real important to lay the foundation, because I have real practitioners on this show, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing stuff that maybe they got their ring light in their dining room or their garage or whatever, but there's a lot of us out there that are doing real work, and that's you. I want to hear about your work. I want to hear about how it came about for you. And just tell us about that, Shawnee.
Well, first of all, I'm very humbled. Thank you for the beautiful introduction, Robert. Seriously,
you're welcome.
Friend. You know this, and anyone who knows me or follows me knows that healing is my passion. Yeah. I love studying the brain and the mind and the brain connection and restoration of the body through a whole person approach. And my passion and my calling and the work that I do now has everything to do through lived experience. So before I started, studying neuroplasticity for recovery, I was living it. I was your real living prototype of the work that I do now.
Yes.
So Yes. So I overcame 3 life-threatening traumatic brain injuries at age 18, 20, and 24. And that would change the trajectory of my whole life and would have
Wow.
everything to do with what I do now, but why I love to serve now, because I have been in those shoes. So I can
Yes.
speak from that place. And so, really quick highlight, if you will. Age 18 was rollerblading, struck by a vehicle, flatlined, was in a coma on life support, and woke up in the ICU and had no idea what had happened, how I got there,
Yeah.
and was not able to move my arms or legs, speak, completely aphasic. And that would start a year's journey of overcoming that first battle. Second TBI, I was in Los Angeles, California, after a basketball game, Staples Center. And unfortunately, I was attacked by 2 people. And fortunately, I was beaten to unconsciousness. And that would be my second TBI. At that time, I was testing for the fire department. I had a childhood dream to be a firefighter and an EMT. And that did not derail me from becoming a firefighter at age 21 and EMT. And then at age 24, I'm living the life and happy I'm serving. And I had to slip and fall in a parking lot. And as soon as my head hit the ground, CPR was administered from a good friend, and back flatline for the second time. My third TBI, coma, and life support. Again, woke
Wow.
up. How did I get here? So that would start the journey behind really wanting to understand, how can I get better? I became obsessed with the mind. The mind is consciousness, the brain is an organ, but they make a powerful team for full body recovery.
Right.
So I just started learning as much as I could to, move my hands, move my arms, my legs, my feet, speak, cognitive training, all the things,
Wow.
in my early 20s.
Dang. So you were, I mean, you had to relearn everything in terms of physical movement and that brain body connection that we're gonna talk about today. I mean, you were kind of wiped out, right? I mean,
Yes, indeed. The first TBI had temporary quadriplegia.
wow. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. Shawnee, listen, that is amazing. I remember you telling me this before, but I had actually forgotten some of the details. I remember the first one, but that is pretty that's pretty incredible what you've been through and where you are today. And I think that lays a foundation, of course it does, for the passion for what you do right now. Because like you say, you've lived it. You continue to live it because, these journeys don't really end. They just take on different ebbs and flows and different levels. And look at the level that you're at right now. So that's pretty amazing. Now,
I have to say this because it's quite important to me in my work.
Mhm.
I lived with the neurological consequences of TBI all through my 20s.
Yeah.
And into my 30s. But today at 44, I'm 100% healed, friend. I have no
Wow.
complications, no issues. I am total greatness. And that's why I stand behind neuroplasticity for recovery.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, did you, before we get into some of the other stuff, actually, I mean, because you are healed, you obviously got help from other people that do what you do, that were kind of industry leaders, if you will, right? I mean, you've obviously had a lot of help along the way.
I did. I had a lot of help along the way from different practitioners. I will tell you the most impactful first person in my life to help me was a woman by the name MJ Campbell. And she was a trainer for women who wanted to become firefighters, and she made them strong to compete. And she heard about my story at 19 after my first TBI, when I was like, okay, I'm alive. I'm not a quadriplegic. I might as well try to become a firefighter.
Right.
And she kind of scooped me up, took me under her wing. So she, like, as we do in our work, our work becomes a personal bond, a personal connection, human connection. So she really tied that into helping me rebuild my muscles from an atrophied vegetative state, helping me be strong, giving me confidence in my body again. So that's when I really fell in love with training from this aspect, where you become a team and you walk with your client through that journey. But after MJ, in all through my recovery, I kind of was being told something, pretty consistent, kind of a limiting narrative on my diagnosis and outlook of my life. My doctors pretty much said, this is all we can do for you. This is kind of as good as it gets. And that was the framing for my future. And you know me, I'm not going to settle for a limited mindset. So
100%. Yeah.
Yes. So that's really when I became a student of the mind, the brain, and the body. And I was seeking my own healing and recovery. However, there were beautiful practitioners, wonderful people along my journey who, had a sports clinic, and I went through hyperbaric oxygen treatment and worked on my body, and, different doctors I saw along my path. But I will tell you, I kind of became my own advocate because I just wasn't willing to throw in the towel.
100%. And before we go on, I want to address that because the medical community is amazing. I mean, let's face it, it's amazing. It's saved my life as I sit here today, because we'll probably touch on what happened with me last year. But to give that kind of ultimatum or statement, or what word do I use? To put a limit on somebody's life. Somebody like you or somebody like me, all that does is light the fire. Because there's something I want to, one of the main things I want to accomplish today for the listener and is to compare what you do with traumatic brain injuries, which is you're talking paralysis here. You're talking major, like you said, life-ending injuries. They can be eventually. They can be life-ending immediately, acutely, or they can be like you say, you get that sentence from the doctor, like you got 3 months or you got a year or whatever. I want to make the comparison with the work you do with that person, and then the work that you do with just somebody that's just stuck in their own head and they can't get out of their own head. That brain-body connection, what I'm talking about. That the title of this show today is Power Your Brain, Power Your Life. And I know for sure, because I've just always lived like this, you obviously know this, that in many respects, we are in control of our own destiny by how we think.
Indeed. Yes.
How we think. And again, people like you, people like me, I mean, I don't know if I was just born with it or what, but I have always seen the brighter side of anything. You give me a challenge, all the way when I was a kid, you give me something, and I'm not somebody that's going to lay down and just say, okay, I'm done. Right. Like you say, I've used that hashtag for years. Never throw in the towel.
Love it.
Because if you do that, you're done.
Yes.
What is the point of quitting? I see no point in quitting. And this transfers into traumatic brain injuries, some injuries that maybe aren't so intense. It really transitions into weight loss and weight control, because we hear all this stuff on the outside, and it becomes a self-limiting thing for us because we buy into it.
Right.
And we buy into it because there's something missing in our brain, in our psyche, that is not able to get around that suggestion. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We take that suggestion and it permeates us, and we take ownership of it. Another thing I talk about is your body image, self-image, our self-esteem, and how our inner voices really lay the foundation for how we think about ourselves and how we think about the world, how we think about ourselves within the world. And today I want to give people tools to get out of that and to become someone that thinks like you and I do. That's what I want to accomplish today.
I love it. I
So,
love your message today, friend. Love it.
so first off, Shawnee, I want you to just define neuroplasticity. What is it, and how can we access it and maximize it for our lives?
Absolutely. So neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to reorganize, rewire, and form new neural connections through experience, through thought, through emotion, and behavior.
Okay. That's incredible. Now, so what I'm hearing with that is we can create our own, we can create our own perspectives. I talk about perspective a lot too.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. We're in charge of our perspectives. We can create our own perspectives. And some people think like, well, you're living in la la land. Reality is reality. Reality is reality. Well, we create our own realities.
Correct.
Because as simple as this sounds, there can be one event like you went through.
Yes.
A tragedy.
Yes.
Or something like that, or something that I went through last year. You can take one person and they will be completely defeated by that event.
Yes.
You will take another person and they'll be like, screw this. I ain't done yet.
Right.
I'm gonna use this to elevate this and everybody around me.
Yes.
So somebody's going through, say, okay, first of all, let's talk about your work with Kyle for a second, because that's very visible. You share this on a lot on your social media, because I want to use the example of the amazing work that you do with him, within comparing it to somebody that, just like I said, just can't get out of their own way.
Yes.
Where do you start with somebody like Kyle? Where do you start? Where did you begin when you met him, and what happened to him actually?
Absolutely. So with Kyle, he prior to his TBI, he played pro arena football. He was a linebacker and a minister and a new father.
Yeah.
And after practice, he was hit by a drunk driver, was ejected through his truck over an overpass bridge, and wasn't supposed to make it. And so he had your worst case diagnosis. Mom, Donna, his full-time caregiver now, was told by the docs, your son's not going to make it. Probably not going to leave this hospital, and don't plan on him ever walking again. And with the work that I do out of my own lived experience, and with Kyle or other TBI survivors, stroke survivors, is it truly does begin with hope and perspective. Because I've always said, okay, I know you're being, like, new clients. I know you've been told this diagnosis. That's information. It's not necessarily your destiny. And
that's awesome.
Thank you. And, speaking from experience. So with Kyle, when I first met Kyle, I just love him.
He's incredible. Yeah, he's incredible.
Yes, non-ambulatory, arms not moving and functioning, no use, no legs, forget about even trying to stand. He's lost about 60, 70 pounds since we've been working together, over 300 pounds when I met him. Non-speaking, wore prism eyeglasses, but you just saw his sweet spirit. And you saw, and even though he wasn't really verbal with me the first year, fully conscious and could understand what I was saying. And so what I saw in his eyes and his spirit was his fight. He wanted to be better. And it takes the desire and the belief in self. I want to be better. And if I want that has everything to do with my mindset. So then we train to get better every day. I tell all my clients, the mindset of healing is what's going to fast track your recovery.
100%.
If you have a defeatist attitude, I can only do so much. But if you align your mind and spirit for the work, let's go. So that's what Kyle did from day one. Yeah.
By the way, print that, what you just said, because that is absolutely what I'm talking about here. You got Kyle, who's gotten this, at best, bleak diagnosis, once again, by some doc. And I'm not blaming a doc that says that. Again, that's, like you said, and there's another just brilliant thing that you said, that's just information.
Yes.
That's not your sentence.
Indeed.
That's not your destiny.
Correct.
And so I think, tell me if this would be correct, Shawnee.
Yes.
If you take a guy looking at things, everything being relative, you've got a traumatic situation like Kyle's and like other people that you have worked with.
Yes.
And then you've got somebody that is just negative. No matter what in their life, they're negative. They're defeated. They've got circumstances which then their brain takes in this information and processes that information and then spews out the perspective and the outlook and literally the depth of the plan that they will devise in their life to overcome. Correct? I mean, it's just it's information. It's not your destiny.
Correct. I mean, we think about this. Thoughts, okay,
Yeah.
Positive or negative, it turns into a positive emotion or
Mhm.
negative emotion.
Yes.
Our emotions affect our actions, our behavior. So
Mhm.
you have someone like Kyle, a TBI survivor, or you have someone who, is healthy, if you will, by its body,
Yeah.
but the mind isn't well.
Right.
Again, two people, it's about perspective, and it's
Yeah.
about what's your thought loop on a daily basis? What's your
Mhm.
automatic thought loop? And
Yeah.
then, if we're thinking negative about ourselves and we're intrinsically beating ourselves up in our mind, that's going
Yeah.
to affect our emotions, which is going to affect whether we participate in life or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you take someone like Kyle, for 3 years, he sat in his bed at home, and that was life. And you take someone like Kyle and you say, listen, I want to help you recover. And I believe you can.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to teach you is something new. And this is about taking a whole person approach to recovery. We need PT, we need OT, we need cognitive behavioral therapy. We need all of those in
Mhm.
traditional neuro recovery care. Got to have it.
Mhm.
But if you can take a team approach and you can add in neuro fitness training, my work, through a whole body perspective, and you teach the mind, those thoughts have everything to do with the brain, and your brain just receives data and then spews that data to your nervous system.
Yeah.
But if you can train the mind to give positive thoughts, you evoke positive emotions. Right there, you've already affected someone's neurochemistry.
Yeah.
When someone's had a brain trauma or stroke, they are deficient in dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. But
Mhm.
also, if you take a healthy individual by body per se, and they have anxiety, depression, PTSD, and they are just right in that negative way day after day, you're
Yeah.
affecting, again, your neurochemistry, adrenaline,
Yes.
epinephrine, cortisol. But if you say to
Yeah.
that person, we need to change your thoughts, friend, and we're going
Yeah.
to start thinking positive about ourselves. We're going to start visualizing positive. We're going to start speaking positive. Then you start to increase their dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, and you're rebooting their neurochemistry so that their body can actually perform what the brain is directing it to do. So, whether it's trauma or it's life that has worn someone down, it truly starts with the mind, with perspective, those thought loops.
Amen. Thought loops. Yes, that's amazing, because my next question was going to be how, because I deal with this all the time. I can be with somebody or be in a group of people or be somewhere, and I can peg a negative dialogue in somebody's body in about a half a second.
Yes.
And I'm sure that's part of what you do too. I mean, on a grander scale, because these people have gone through trauma, and the initial thought would be, God, why wouldn't you be somewhat negative? You got in a car accident, which almost took your life. I mean, there's an initial like shock with that like, well, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? And this kind of thing. I'm sure that you get over that hump pretty quickly. But to somebody out there that's listening, and let's use example, 75%, 80% of America now really is overweight and obese. These folks out there are struggling. We've got 92% of people in our country, 92% of people in America that are considered metabolically unhealthy. Give me two things, Shawnee, to say to them that can jumpstart their perspective.
I love that. My first, and this is how I help recover, and this is how I help my clients turn the page towards recovery,
Yes.
is about identity.
Yeah.
Identity.
Yeah.
And if you can visualize and think on outside your circumstances, who do I want to be? Who do I want to work towards becoming?
Right.
I'm not happy right now.
Right.
And you can start future visualizing the future you. That's where I start. And then that starts with the mind.
Yeah.
But another point I like to make is you have your mind, you have your brain, you have your body. And that's how I train: mind, brain, body. Right. Yeah. And if you're not fully aware and you're not observing your thoughts on a daily basis, then that brain body connection, that central nervous system is awry. Mm-hmm. But on a deeper component, how I live my life and how I train and work with my clients. And when you're at the end of the road, you know, and your mind is just filled with this negative data that you're receiving from either prognosis or diagnosis or the world around you or your experience, then you look inward and you look upward and you check in with your spirit.
Yeah.
That's something that I have seen has been game changing for the people that I work with, because they come to me tired, exhausted. And, you know, I'm usually the last call. Like, hey, we've tried it all. We heard about you. What you got?
Yeah.
And so that would be the other message that I would have is truly waking up every day, training for recovery, aligning your mind and spirit for that.
Yeah. I talk about body, mind, and spirit on this show all the time. I mean, that's really what it is. And what you're saying is absolutely correct. What do you think? And again, I'm trying to give people tools out there. What's the biggest roadblock for people to not think like what you just said? What is a roadblock that somebody can just freaking knock over right now and get to that point? Because we all have that in us.
Yes.
We all have that in us. What's something they can knock over that negative roadblock and get to the positive, joyful being that they came into this world being? How do they knock that roadblock off and get to that?
I love that, Robert. First of all, I would say awareness of thought. You don't have to accept those thoughts. Mm-hmm. And that's usually when I share this with the people I work with, it's almost like an aha moment. Oh, I don't? No.
Yeah.
If those are negative thoughts or someone else is speaking negative over your destiny, you don't have to accept that. Right. You shift your perspective. You cancel out that negative thought, and then you bring forth a positive thought.
Yes. Yes.
So observation, awareness of thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I talk about with that inner dialogue thing. It's like, I mentioned this in a lot of podcast episodes and people that I talk to. It's like, you have this undercurrent going on that if it's not servicing you, like I said, we all come into this world very joyful. We come in ready to tackle the world. You know, we just babies, we just do what we do. You know, we're hungry, we eat. We want to crawl, we crawl. We want to cry, we cry. We just do what we want. Yeah. And then we start getting that stuff that we got boom, 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 and we get hit with that life stuff. And most of that life stuff is not us.
Right.
But yet we take it in, adopt it, and absorb it, and it becomes us. It almost invades our joy, if that makes sense.
It does.
And I think, like what you say, awareness, checking in. You've got to continually check it. If there's a pattern in your life where you're negative, and I'm talking about, you know, we can get into all kinds of stuff here, but let's keep it to physical activity, nutrition, your proper rest, and your stress management, the things that really make us physically healthy and thus mentally healthy. And like you say, it all works together, and it really does, because we are one big sphere of everything about us, if that makes sense.
Indeed.
But this stuff that we take on, we have to continually check in and go, wait a minute, if this reaction to this thing or this event or this person and its impact on me, is that mine? Or is that somebody else's that I've adopted that's all of a sudden permeated my life and it's not servicing me?
Correct.
We got to check in with that. And you know, look, I've always been a very, very positive person. Anybody that knows me will tell you. You can go back to when I was born, and people will always say, little Bobby Reams was always positive. My football coach in high school, Bob had a lot of heart. Bob has just got a lot of heart. I've heard that said about me my whole life. And it's why I'm where I am today. And it's why you are where you are today, Shawnee, because I'm sure that people say the same things about you too, because that's what you said to you. That's what you said to yourself.
Yes.
And again, I want to give people just, you got to start thinking about this stuff. We got so much time on this planet to make impact on ourselves, our lives, and everybody around us. There's no time to waste to beat yourself up. There's no time to waste to be negative.
Right.
You ain't got that time. You got shit to do. We all do. And it's stuff that everybody around you, your loved ones, when you start to think like that, everybody's going to gravitate to that.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And so the work that you do is just, I mean, it's nothing less than phenomenal, because you're taking people that have been physically traumatized, of course, mentally traumatized. And like you say, you're taking that whole life, body, mind, spirit approach, and you are giving people a roadmap to be what they can be and what they deserve to be in this life. And I want you to tell everybody, because you've got a lot of stuff going on here, Shawnee, a lot of resources that if somebody doesn't have the opportunity to work with you personally, that's coming up that people can have access to. Talk about some of that for a second. And I also want to highlight too, before I forget, and I'm going to put this on the show cover, because on YouTube we put this, we do the YouTube cover thing. I'm going to highlight your incredible magazine cover, and I want you to talk about that too. So talk about the resources for the Harkins method.
Yes.
And how people can access you and access your work, and tell us about that honor that you've just recently got, just like last week.
Yes, last Monday. Thank you, Fred. Yes. So in my work, I believe education is the pathway to healing. Mm-hmm. So I'm very big on providing the education around the brain, around the mind, brain, and body, which is how I train. I remember spending in my process of recovery hours and hours and hours on Google trying to find resources. So I want to provide that for survivors and caregivers. Got it. Firstly, ShaunieHarkins.com is my website. Yep. And if you go directly there, you will find 3 ways that I work with clients: through Neuro State of Mind, which is my in-person and online neurofitness training program. Right. You can work with me one-to-one like Kyle, or if you live in New York City, you can work with me online as well. Awesome. Then there is NeuroFit Training Club, and that's your online neurofitness training membership and community for survivors and caregivers. And it's a beautiful membership, easily affordable. Resources are provided in your portal. You have your own profile. We have live weekly coaching, live training there. Plenty of pre-recorded content, workshops on neurogenesis, what that is, the power of that, neuroplasticity, the Harkins method, neurofitness training. We also have a brain and body yoga program on there. So this is consistent weekly neurofitness training for recovery. Awesome. And then thirdly, which I'm so pumped up and jazzed about, is my medical technology startup, the Harkins Project VRX. And that is your neuroplasticity immersive therapies for TBI, concussion, and stroke recovery, utilizing AI, AR, and VR to take the work that I do and to make it immersive, because I'd love to work with everyone in person, but I can't. Right. But if I can bring the Harkins method to you, which is focused on neuroplasticity through immersive therapies. Now, from the comfort of your own home or in your hospital bed, you're training your mind and body, but you're training your central nervous system consistently daily through the power of neuroplasticity.
Right.
And that's my baby that I have been working on for quite a long time. So,
That's awesome.
so Neurostate of Mind, NeuroFit Training Club, and the Harkins Project VRX. Come to you soon. Yes.
Now, define to we got the definition at the beginning. Neuroplasticity. What is neurogenics? Talk about neurogenics. Is that something different or elevated from neuroplasticity? What is that exactly?
Yeah. So neurogenesis is the creation of new neurons. So when you had trauma to the brain, your neurons, and they tell you your neurons are dead, which means let's create some new neurons, and then let's use the power of neuroplasticity to connect new neuron to new neuron, fire that synapses where they learn and speak to each other. And then now we have a new neural pathway for change to happen, which is what the Harkins method is built on. So it's the Harkins method neural network of change. I come in and I help create those neural networks for the change.
Right.
So with my honor last week, we speak about that in Mirror Review magazine. So I was nominated and then received an award for Neurotech Pioneer of the Year 2026, Women in Business.
Incredible.
Thank you, friend, which focuses on the ecosystem of my work. So the Harkins method, and then now turning the Harkins method into the Harkins Project VRX. And we actually featured Kyle. We featured Donna in that interview, shared a little bit about my overcoming my adversity. We also featured John, businessman here in Frisco, a 2-time stroke survivor.
Okay.
And then little Jude, who's 5. I'm working with children now, friend.
That's amazing.
He lives with cerebral palsy, and my goal is to help him learn how to walk. And actually, in that Mirror Review magazine is the first time I have publicly showed one of my pictures from one of my TBIs, and I was learning how to walk in rehab. So, so,
oh, man.
I was honored, very, very honored, and just so grateful for that feature. And they did a beautiful, lovely job and told my story with care and my clients. And I'm very happy with it. Thank you.
That's incredible. Well, I want to make a point, and I want to emphasize to people out there that, look, you may think, because everything's about perspective, and, there's a client of mine that I've worked with for years. He always says, well, everything's relative. It's sort of like your situation, no matter how great or how traumatic it is, it's your perspective on that situation. And it's really what matters is how you feel about that and what you're going to do to move through that and to maneuver that and to navigate that, because it's about your perspective. So everybody's dilemma is their dilemma, no matter what the level of it would be from somebody else's perspective. Wow. So you got to take what Shawnee and I are talking about today and really embrace this. This is an important show because we are in the state of health in our United States today, largely, if not fully, because of perspective.
Right.
We don't care about ourselves. We have let self-care not only go way down the priority list, but it's not even on the priority list. We're out there grasping and surviving day to day. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yes, correct.
You have got to pull this in for yourself, for your family, for everybody around us, because I talk about community a lot on this show. Communities in small towns or small places or churches or in your schools or in your little group of friends, wherever you are, communities build, and then communities build on into communities, and communities then build into cities, and cities build into states, and states build into countries. Yes. If we start thinking like this, comprehensively, collectively, I talk about a collective behavioral change. This is another thing I talk about. We don't need, logistics are things like you said, logistics are information. There's all kinds of information. You can get information all day long. You can stay at Google or read a book or whatever. But if you are not embracing and personalizing those logistics in your life, they're just logistics.
Yes.
It's just crap on paper.
Right.
But we have got to get ourselves to the point, and not everybody is going to grasp this. I get it. You know, not everybody has this ability, unfortunately. I did a show, the third one, Trent, that we did. I said, how do we change the world, and can we change the world? And I talked about a 20% increase, in metabolic health.
Wow.
Across the board in our country. 20% increase. That's it. Not a 50, not an 80, a 20. And how that would change perspectives and how that would change healthcare in our country.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If we could do that. So
I love that, Robert.
Yeah. You and I could talk all day. I want to talk about one more thing. This is another takeaway that I want for people out there. Somebody needs a knee replacement. Somebody needs a hip replacement. Somebody's been diagnosed, they need back surgery. They have an injury. They have a sports injury. They have a foot injury. And, again, injuries sometimes send signals to the brain like, well, it's over, or I have to compensate, or I'm done, or I can't do what I did, or I'm never going to be able to move like I was when I was 20. All this stuff. We get this, we start signaling into that negative dialogue, all these defeatist attitudes.
Yes.
Somebody gets a simple injury out there, and maybe it's a really bleak diagnosis from a doctor. How do you get them around that, Shawnee?
Mindset,
yeah, 100%.
Mindset. Yeah. Because you think about what's so beautiful about our brain is chemistry. Mm-hmm. And chemistry starts with, what kind of thoughts are you thinking?
Yeah.
And if you can think positively, and of course you need support, you need the plan and the program for whatever your situation is. But if you're consistent with it, your brain starts changing its neural networks.
Yes.
And that is chemistry that we need daily, that the nervous system needs daily, that the body needs for healing.
Yeah.
So it seems so simple. Oh, change my thoughts? Yes. So that you can empower your chemistry and the electricity that runs through your body.
100%. You have to practice that.
Yes.
You have to practice that. Another saying I have, and some of the guys the people that I work with love this statement. We don't get out of shape. We get out of practice.
Right.
And if there was ever, I told you this 6 years ago, if there was ever a time that I would share some things about my journey, it would be with you. And, I was a kid. I had 3 traumatic brain injuries that I know of. I was hit by a car at 6 years old. I was hit with a golf club unintentionally by my brother when I was 4. You can you see my little scar up here. Everybody sees it. That's where it's from. And I had 1 concussion that I know of from football. I was always smaller, and I was just out there, and I was just doing my thing. Yes. I had, in high school, I had a growth plate injury that really, at the time, seemed kind of minor, but it developed into something more as I got into my 20s and my 30s, and I had to deal with that. And I actually had a diagnosis from a surgeon. I'm not going to go into exactly what it was. This was in 1996, so this is 30 years ago, that I was going to have a major surgery.
Wow.
I've never told anybody that other than my immediate family. And that set me on fire.
Yes.
I was like, excuse my language, fuck no. Mm-hmm. I'm at the time a major trainer in LA already.
Right. Yes.
Doing great.
Yes.
Very mobile, doing my thing. Hey, there were things that I had limitations, but I was even at that time overcoming limitations that were unbelievable. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of exercise and wellness videos later, right up through today with Gold's Gym, Walgreens, Dr. Phil, you name it.
Yes.
All that dude did was piss me off. And the guy that sent him to me, because he was my chiropractor, Dr. Dave Ballard, who was my chiropractor in LA for almost 30 years, great friend of mine and a great chiropractor. He sent me to that guy, and he apologized like you wouldn't believe. He's like, Rob, I'm so sorry, man. But you know what? In the long term, it set me on fire, and it set me like a rocket ship. And now, you know, I'm older, at least by a generation, than most people I train.
Sure. Yes.
And I can, you know, and everybody knows what I can do now. I run, I sprint, I jump, I do plyometrics, I do leg press, I do everything. Everybody sees what I do on videos. I post exercise videos all the time. And I'm, you know, like I said, all these Instagram folks that you see out there now that are posting all this stuff, I'm like twice your age, and I'm doing everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's because of this.
Yes.
And I always, because I moved here to Tennessee almost 6 years ago now,
Right.
I had to get the logistic help. I had to get the chiropractors. I had to get these people, and I have them.
Yes.
And they know who they are here. That if you go back and look at the chiropractic roundtable that I did in this studio months back, Trent, 6 months back or so, you know, all these shows are lined up. Those 3 people have helped me immensely. But what they've done is they've helped me to help myself. And I came in with the attitude and everything that you're talking about.
I love that, Robert.
So,
You didn't accept that script.
No, I just didn't. I was like, no way.
No.
And you're talking to the wrong dude.
Yes.
If you think that's going to happen. And I am really proud of that, because people flock to me because I don't talk about that all the time. Now people are going to know a little bit more about me, but it's something that I wanted to share. And, you know, I share it at this point in my life. I share it with you like I said I would, because people need to know that.
And
People
Robert,
need to know that.
I'm so glad. Thank you, friend, for trusting me. And I'm so glad that you did share today about your TBIs and your concussion, because I find, you know, you can really empower someone if they trust you. And if they can identify with you, or can you identify with me? You want to help me? Well, do you understand my struggle?
Yeah.
And you and I do.
Yeah.
So we can speak from that place so that we can empower and uplift and give the information, the knowledge, you know, the plan, the support that it's going to take to flip their page, to turn their page. And you have had an outstanding, beautiful career. You've been my mentor for years. And when I shared my first TBI with you years ago, and back then, because I was in Hollywood, I didn't talk about my second and third. I didn't want to be considered a liability in Hollywood.
Right.
So I quietly and privately struggled. And so, but that first TBI, and I remember your response, and the first thing you said to me was very empowering. You did it, Shawnee. And we talked about mindset. I remember, and I actually have the picture. We were sitting on a bench outside waiting for the next thing to happen. And it was just in that moment, just very powerful, because you at that time, which I didn't know, could speak from your experience too.
Yeah. And I did. I trusted you from the onset. So that's pretty cool. And you know, and Dr. Phil, he's a pretty smart guy. He's very intuitive, and he chose me for a reason.
Absolutely.
And you know, I wouldn't be sitting here today, Spread the Positive Studios, doing all the amazing things that I'm doing and that I've had the opportunity to do if it wasn't for that opportunity. So again, you know, I've thanked him so many times, and Dr. Phil and Robin, thank you so much for everything, the platform that you gave me and the opportunities that you've given me and continue to give me. I mean, I'm still involved with the show. It's pretty amazing. 23 seasons. I mean, who does that?
Amazing.
You know, so well, listen, we are going to post all the stuff that you were talking about before. There's a show page, and we'll post the links and everything. And just listen to what we've said today. Listen to Shaunie's work. And, you know, we all have the power for our own destiny. Like you said at the beginning, we get the information. That's just information. What we do with it, it's really up to us. And you've got to bring in your people. Look, if you don't have access to me and Shawnee, or you don't feel that you can reach us, or, you know, the waiting lists can sometimes tend to be a little long, but that's okay. Get on it.
Yes.
But the thing is, there are other people out there that do what we do, that maybe don't have the exposure that you and I have, that have lived it and are wanting to help you as well. Not just from a perspective of that's how they make their living, but it's because of their passion. Right. You've got to find that person in your community, because I promise you they are there. They may not be loud. They may not be loud. They may not be on Instagram or all over the place, but I promise you they're there. And you seek them out. Do your research and get your information in your community. So Shaunie Harkins, the Harkins Method, my great friend, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody listening, once again, this is the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. We power this from Spread the Positive Studios here in Murfreesboro. And this is powered by Nashville Fit Media Network. Thank you, Terry, and your team, and everybody listening. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
Indeed. Thank you, Robert.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. And don't forget the Revive and Sustain Wellness app. Go to www.reviveandsustain.com and download the app. 42 years of my experience at your fingertips. Till next time, everybody, in great health.